We live in modern world. Thus, we need modern technology. Such technology contains many things such as television, mobile phones, and computers. But one of these things is video games. Video games are programs designed by producers that run on a console. They can be educational, fun, violent, and even scary. But the sole purpose of this is to bring recreation to one's life. That video game players develop a heightened sensitivity to what's going on around them, and this benefit doesn't just make them better at playing video games, but improves the wide variety of general skills that can help with everyday activities like multitasking, driving, reading small print, keeping track of friends in crowd, and navigating around town.
Violence contained in video games can severely impact a child's behavior in the real world. Numerous experiments have been conducted, and the results prove that children exposed to violent video games are more violent than those that haven't been. Although it is possible for the child to leave their emotions behind once the game is over, however, this is not often the case. A kid's social life can completely dissolve if video games take over his or her life. They isolate the child from others and restrain them from participating in activities such as homework, reading, sport, and social interaction with friends and family. Video games often send the wrong images to children's minds. Even something as small as a person riding a bike without a helmet can impact their actions, and when in games, there is a virtual dispute to be settled by violence, such as a battle. This is not an option in the real world. These are just some of the negatives, along with healthy issues, poor academic performances, bad language from.
To analyze our data in independent variable, we used amount of hours student plays per day. For example, there's 5 students who plays around 1 hour per day and the only two who plays almost 6 hours per day. By relative frequency and cumulative frequency, we found that dependence and independent variable are really linked to each other. Let's say that person who plays from 1 to 2 hours per day, his brain activity is 14-15 hours in 24 hours, and people who plays, for example, 4 to 5 hours per day, their brain activity is almost 16-17 hours per day. Independent variable, we used hours of brain activity, which means waking up time.
The histogram graph shows the frequency of the number of hours played by the 12 students surveyed from all three groups. We can make a few conclusions from the histogram, which are the midpoint of the interval is 0.3. The amount of hours played by most of the students is more or less 1 hour per day. The following graph represents a cumulative frequency graph of the number of students that correlate with the number of hours that are spent for gaming. From this graph, we can see that the sharp is decreasing between 0 and 12 on the tally. So it somehow shows that our theory works, considering that it is depreciating with an increase in the midpoint. Video games are a form of media that is often associated with negative health consequences. However, when games are played in moderation and with mindfulness, they are a viable source of stress relief as well as a catalyst for mental health improvement and development of social skills. Video games themselves are a relatively modern form of entertainment. They are engaging and immersive on a level different from that of a traditional board games and other forms of entertainment.
The player actively contributes to the level of satisfaction he or she attains from this medium and thus is more invested and willing to engage in the elements of the video game.